Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and today we're going to be going over the 2019 Lexus LX 570. First and foremost, we're going to do a quick walk around on the LX 570, then we're going to take it out to see how it drives. A big shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Lexus here in Murray, Utah for providing us with the vehicle. If you are on the market for a new Lexus, check these guys out. And then if you are stopping for the first time, I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe. Under the hood here of the LX 570, we have a naturally aspirated 5.7 liter V8 that's paired up to an 8-speed automatic transmission. In terms of power outputs, it's going to be good for 383 horsepower and 403 pound-feet of torque. So it actually has an identical setup to the Toyota Land Cruiser, and that's because this is Lexus's version of the Land Cruiser. Now, it's kind of hard to capture how large the LX 570 is in person, but I mean, this front end is absolutely massive. I mean, I don't have small hands, and the logo, just the logo, is like bigger than my hands, and this is probably bigger than my head with the headlight cluster, so that's pretty cool. You've got the accent lighting right here, and then you can see you've got full LEDs in the front. You've got fog lamps just down below, some parking sensors, and then you've got Lexus's signature front end grille. That also doubles as an adaptive cruise control sensor, but they've kind of like made the whole signature grille just like in gigantic form, and I still think it actually looks pretty good on the LX 570. This is kind of like my favorite iteration on the bigger SUVs. Oh, and if you are wondering, this one is also finished in atomic. I think that's such a cool name for a color. More manufacturers should name their colors cool stuff like that. You can see we have these 20-inch spoked rims on 285mm tires in the front and then in the rear as well. Pretty standard setup for a larger sized SUV, and I love the machine kind of like finish on it. I think it looks great with this atomic paint job that it has, but good job on the rims. You can see little brake calipers in there. So here is the key fob for the LX 570. You got a couple functions, your lock and unlock, and then you do have your tailgate opening. But this is the coolest part about this tailgate. So we just got to pull this right here, and it's a split tailgate. So that part right there opens, and so you've got a little button there for the power function on it. But then this is the coolest part, is this little part right here. You can latch down. So now it's got tailgate seating on it, which is neat, and you can actually open up all these. There's a little thing under here, so if we pull this open, you can see that there's kind of like a little toolkit right in that little area. But we can see there's a full cargo net back here, and then you can see that the seats are stowed to the side. Same thing you can do in the Toyota Land Cruiser, so it's interesting that they kind of stow them up instead of like folding down. But you can see there's a little power outlet back here. In terms of storage space, so if you imagine when these seats are down, storage space back here is a little bit limited, but it's not horrible. But then the fact that you can just put those seats up like that makes things super, super easy. Now finishing things up the rear, you can see that there is a roof rack up top. I like the little spoiler in the back. Full LED tail lamps back here. Got the Lexus logo, and then it says LX 570. We got the little receiver hitch down there, and then you've got little parking sensors in the bottom, and then this you can step into, so it's a little bit easier to get in and out of the LX 570. Now we're just walking over to go to the back, and you see there's some mud flaps. Interesting, but obviously this is an off-road SUV. You can see those little side steps right there. And then we can look at the rear right here. So we've got full red leather with the contrasted stitching. Someone decided to honk the horn, so give me a second. Now actually finishing things up on the door panel, you can see there's some black trim. Like I said, the red leather. You can see a couple speakers for the sound system right there, and then more of that black trim. It's kind of like a nice sparkle to it. I really like that. See a gigantic shade here, so the back does have sunshades. And we've got more of this red leather, so it's got nice perforations in it. It's very, very soft leather. You've got a little control pad here for the rear, so you can see that you've got your heated and cooled seats, and you've got your separate climate control in the rear. You can open that up as well, so tons of functionality right there. And then you've got a bunch of charging stations. And yes, it does have TVs in the back. What do you expect for $100,000? But like I said, bunch of charging stations. You can see legroom back here is plentiful, and then there are some vents up at the top, so those are going to help out with getting ventilation all throughout. And then there's some lights up here in the rear, which they don't always put lights in the back. You can see I forgot to mention keyless entry in the rear, keyless entry in the front, so it's cool that it gives you both. But we can put our hand on the back of the door handle, and that'll do the keyless entry system right there. We can open up the door panel here to see beautiful red leather. We've got contrasted stitching, more of that black trim. All of your memory seat controls are right here. Window controls are all right there. Door lock and unlock. You can power fold in the mirrors if you'd like. See, it's got the little Lexus logo right there with the side steps. And then you can see you've got all of your seat adjustments right there on the side of the seat. These seats have more of that beautiful red leather, very, very soft again, more perforations on it. And then there is the pedal layout just down below. You've got your hood latch, gas cap, all of that, and then all of your light controls over here on the side with the stock. And then the steering wheel is fully power adjustable in the LX 570. So now we have a bunch of controls here on the steering wheel. So you have your lane departure assistance, your collision warning. These are for that little center screen right there. Voice command buttons, all of your phone control buttons as well with the volume controls. Steering wheel's got nice wood trim all around it with the nice leather. So very, very solid steering wheel. It feels and looks nice. And then there are paddle shifters on the back of the steering wheel if you want to shift the gears yourself. Now you can see you've got a bunch of gauges here. So you've got your speed over there on the right side, and then you've got your RPMs on the left side. And then it says I'm low on fuel as always, but you can see there's a bunch of different menus that you can scroll through here on the LX 570. So gives you pretty much any bit of information, pretty standard for the car industry nowadays on that side of things. You have the infotainment screen right here, and it uses that same little thing that a lot of the Lexuses use. So it's kind of like the keypad system, and it takes a minute to get used to this infotainment system. But once you do get used to it, it's pretty intuitive. You just kind of have to play with it for a while, honestly. And then once you've played with it for a while, you can kind of use it. But this is where you can do your texting, calling, Bluetooth, all of those functions. And if we pop the LX 570 into reverse, see a backup camera will pop up, and then you get a bird's eye view too. So you can see that you've got trajectory lines, all of that fun stuff right there. And you can see right here that I can kind of switch how it views things. So if I just want full-on backup camera with that. Got a little Lexus clock up here, and then next to the vents you can see that it's full dual zone climate here, and they've pretty much put analog buttons for everything, which is nice so that you don't have to do touchscreen with anything. It's kind of old school, but I like it. And you got a little charging thing in this little area, and then this is some cup holders. Got a little parking brake, it's electronic right here. And then this is the pad for the touchscreen, so that's that little thing that you go through and see there's a little enter button to go into things. That's your map, and then you've got your up and down buttons, menu button, all of that. So it's this little nice leather pad right here. And now let's get into the whole set of like off-road controls. So this is the shifter for the 8-speed automatic. There is a dual shift mode. Like I said, you can shift the gears yourself with these paddle shifters if you want. Heated, cooled seats, heated steering wheel, heated seats, cooled seats on the other side, so for both. And then there's a bunch of controls for the off-road here. So this is air suspension to raise and lower the vehicle. And then you've got your 4-wheel drive system right here, so you can go into 4-wheel low. And then you see you have your eco mode, you have your sport start mode, and then you have your normal custom mode. And then you have your kind of like crawl control right here. Haven't figured out what that button is, so please leave in the comment section below what that does. Your lockers, stability control, and then you can see that this will help you go up or down a hill. And then this is like your turn assist button for the off-road, so it uses like the cameras and the sensors so that you don't like hit into something, which is definitely a nice feature. So just like the Land Cruiser, this is fully set up for the off-road. I mean, this thing would just destroy at Moab. Now this is the coolest center console in the car industry. I know they've been doing this since like the 1990s, but I want this in my car. So full leather here with the nice stitching, and yes, it is a refrigerator. So they let the AC come in here, and you can turn that off if you want, but really, really cold. So this doubles as like a little refrigerator if you want to use it like that. So center console / refrigerator. More car manufacturers need to do that. I know quite a few do, but I just want this in all cars. And then you can see the glove box right here. So it's tiered with a bunch of different levels, massive glove box. I mean, you can store a ton of things in here, and all the glove box is soft touch, all the leather around it, nice trim in general all around. Now we have all of our controls for the sunroof and the light controls up here, so we can open this up. Let's a little bit more light into the cabin, just a regular sunroof. This is all soft touch up here, so Lexus didn't cheap out on the headliner. It's all soft touch, very nice feeling, just feels, and it actually looks more premium in general than compared to like normal headliners that a lot of car manufacturers use. Wrapping things up on the LX 570, I love the interior on this. It's a very nice premium feeling interior, and I mean, you'd hope so at just over $100,000 for this before any type of market adjustment, which is absolutely crazy. I mean, that's $20,000 more than the Toyota Land Cruiser, and they're built off of the same platform. But that all being said, let's take this LX 570 out to see how it drives. As you can see here, we are starting off in the LX 570. Let's talk about visibility first and foremost. As always, you can see over the hood, it kind of abruptly ends, which that's nice because then you can see the end of the hood, which is gonna be important if you ever take this off-road. You can see through both of the mirrors. Visibility is good. Visibility throughout the back, you can see large windows. There's a little bit with the seats up there, but in general, it's pretty decent. And then we can see over the other shoulder. So visibility in general in this LX 570 is solid. So you can see that we are starting off here in the LX 570 now officially, actually on the road. And the ride quality on this is exceptionally smooth. I mean, this is probably one of the smoothest, if not the smoothest vehicle that I've ever driven. I mean, it just floats so smooth. It's so nice. And there's like no noise that comes in. Like, I hear the AC blasting because I got the AC blasting in the car, but in terms of like road noise or stuff like that, I just don't hear anything coming through. I mean, this is such like an isolated cabin. So now we're going to turn here with the LX 570 so you can kind of see with the steering super light and effortless, and the vehicle actually handles pretty well. Like, it's definitely like a very large size SUV, but you can turn no problem and it doesn't feel like you're just turning a giant boat. It definitely drives smaller than it is. Yeah, so you can see me going over these manholes, and I mean, you hear it a little bit, but not a whole lot. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's because the air suspension that this has is going to help out with the ride quality a lot. But yeah, I mean, this is just, it's crazy how like luxurious this feels. Sorry, I'm just waiting for this construction vehicle to move a little bit before I try to get an acceleration with the LX 570. I think I've got enough space so we should be able to get on it just a little bit. Yeah, so I mean, the 8-speed automatic downshifts more than adequately, and I mean, it just gets up to speed more than sufficient. I mean, 400 horsepower roughly is, I mean, it's 383, I know, but almost 400 horsepower. I feel like that's more than adequate for this LX 570 here. We can get another acceleration, just so you guys can see. I feel like that's enough power for the size of SUV this is. I don't really feel like I would need more power, especially on the off-road side of things, but if you're kind of like race car driver mentality, this might not feel like enough power for you. Now, to wrap things up, this SUV is kind of in a class of its own. I know that there's bigger SUVs like the Chevy Tahoe and the Cadillac Escalade, and that's kind of what this competes against now, is luxury SUVs, but they don't have the off-road capability that the LX 570 has, or this, you know, sister car the Toyota Land Cruiser has. It's the best of both. You have this crazy capable off-road SUV, and I know a lot of people that buy this SUV will never take it off-road, but the fact that it has that capability, I feel like makes this significantly cooler than an Escalade or a Tahoe or just any of those other big size SUVs. So if you are on the market for a luxury SUV, definitely check out this LX 570. It is worth a look, and it definitely does feel a little bit nicer than the sister car, which is the Toyota Land Cruiser. And there we have it, everyone, the 2019 Lexus LX 570. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and again, a big shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Lexus here in Murray, Utah for providing us with this LX 570. If you're on the market for new Lexus, check these guys out, and I will include in the description below a link to their inventory so you can look at this Atomic LX 570 or any Lexus of your choice. I can never speak, guys. But if you're stopping for the first time, please subscribe, comment down below what you thought. I'll see all of you in that next video.